I have no idea how I haven't talked about this goal setting system in the past because, my friends, this goal setting system has been fail proof for me since at least 2020, I think is when I finally read the book, became a convert immediately. So today I'm going to break down my MVP goal setting and action taking system that has helped me at many times during my journey to actually get a lot done and achieve the goals and the aspirations that I have for myself and my business. And what I find interesting about this is that I love this system so much. I rave about it all the time. It works for me all the time, yet I still fall off the wagon. Life, right? Am I right? Human beings. We're weird, rare creatures. In this episode, I'm breaking down my MVP goal setting strategy. So let's dive in. Of the Brooke Roberts Show. At the end of February, I finally felt like I was getting my groove back, kind of finally feeling recovered from my decades-long burnout cycle from being an entrepreneur. I was like feeling the mojo, feeling the excitement, feeling like I want to get some stuff done. And so, of course, I pulled out my handy 12-week year guidebook and started implementing and applying it to the things I want to achieve over the next 12 weeks. The 12-week year is a book by Brian Moran and Michael Lennington. It is a really interesting and powerful system. And so I want to break it down for you now. But full disclosure about this book, it's not a very entertaining read. It's actually quite dry and can feel a little repetitive at times, but if you are an organization and planning and strategy nerd like me, you're probably going to love it. But for those of you who don't typically read this type of book, just prepare yourself to be like, okay, this is not intended to be a thriller page turner. It's intended to get me focused on my goals and how to achieve them. As long as you put it in that angle, you'll be fine. The framework and the philosophy inside it is spot on, regardless of how it's delivered. The first half of the book is really focused on mindset and your perspective on goal setting and action taking and procrastination and why we take action on the things we do and why we don't take action on some things that we say we really want to do. But the second half of the book is really focused on the framework and actually implementing the strategies that they outline in the book. Here's a brief overview of the 12-week year. Obviously, it's a 12-week planning system that enables you to get more done in 12 weeks than most people get done in 12 months. I know that because it says it here right on the cover. That is the MO of the whole book, is instead of thinking about your year in 12 months, we want to think about your year in just 12 weeks. Because if you think about it, most of us do annual planning, and then most of us are a little bit of a procrastinator. And so we don't really take those big leaps and big strides towards our goals until maybe October. We're like, oh crap, better maybe get serious about this. Or November, or in December, we're like, crap, I just gotta throw the whole year away. So instead of thinking about it in that bigger 12-month framework, if you break down your goals into 12 weeks, then that sense of urgency, excitement, and drive for your goals is in a much smaller time container. And so you're much more likely to take action right now to achieve that 12-week year goal in 12 weeks, obviously. That is sort of the big mindset shift you have to take when thinking about the 12-week year goal planning system, is the getting out of like, okay, well, what do I want to achieve by December? If you're planning in January, for instance, instead of thinking that way, you just want to say, okay, what do I want to achieve in the next 12 weeks, forgetting everything else? Some of the benefits I see from changing my mindset around to 12 weeks versus 12 months is that it keeps me focused, it keeps me engaged, and it keeps me excited about my goals. It's sometimes when you have that big far out planning, you're like, well, that's for future Brooke to figure out and worry about. Whereas if you're focused on your 12 weeks, you're like, well, this is Brooke current Brooke's problem and Brooke's focus right now. And so it really helps you get zeroed in on what are the most important actions. You don't tinker away at random stuff because you know it's not mission critical to what you're trying to achieve in the next 12 weeks. I also think it aligns well with the Parkinson's law idea that where a task will expand to fill the time that you allot for it. So if you give yourself a whole year to achieve a goal, it'll take a whole year to achieve that goal. Instead, if you give yourself 12 weeks to achieve a certain goal, then it'll probably take 12 weeks. Obviously, it depends on the goal. But again, I think if you put it in a smaller container, you're more likely to stay focused and more likely to achieve it. Going back to that procrastination component, it just really allows the version of you that really wants to get things done and is motivated and ready to go to really take charge over 12 weeks versus the procrastinator version of you who can say, I'll just push that off till July or to October or to December. So let's break down the full system, and I promise I'm going to take you inside of my actual 12-week year that I'm working on, literally starting today as a time of recording, and what I'm going to be working on over the 12 weeks and how I'm breaking that down into my planning system. The first thing that this system requires you to do is actually think about your vision. So before we get down to any tactical actions and tasks that you might need to do, it's really important for you to get clear on what is your vision. And so the authors have you break down your vision into your aspirational vision. So this is like the bigger picture version of your life. Maybe it's 5, 10, 15 years out, that murky place into the future that you can't really control at the moment, but gosh, wouldn't it be cool if you could to live that version of your life? And then there's a 3-year vision, which gets a little bit more realistic and practical and things you can actually see happening for yourself. And then one of the things I added into this is that 1-year vision. While you're not supposed to focus on annual goals, of course, I still think there's a version of myself and a version of my business and my life and my career that I want to see at the end of the year. And I think it's also a great idea to vision out what the end of your year looks like. What have you achieved? What have you accomplished? How do you feel? What were your challenges? What did you overcome? Like just really imagining the version of yourself in your life in a visionary way, not in a goal setting way. So I still think you should sort of have that 1-year vision in some capacity written out so you can go back to it and see, hey, how far off was I, and did it really align with the actions and goals that I set for myself in all of my 12-week years leading up to this point. Then after you've set that vision, then we start with your first 12 weeks. You don't even worry about your 12-month goals. There's none of that. It's just focusing on the next 12 weeks. What do we need to accomplish in order to achieve the vision that you've set for yourself? One of the key things on this is because you only have 12 weeks, it's really important for you to drill down to the most important goals that you want to set for yourself. And so that might just be 1 to 3. In this system, you're not going to have 10 goals you're working on at any given point. You're really going to focus on 1 to 3 at most during that 12-week year. I do believe that this is a much more effective approach to accomplishing your dreams and your vision for your life, because you actually will complete something. You will get to the end and be like, okay, I did the thing, as opposed to this long drawn out process where maybe there's no end in sight. Once you have your 12-week goals, your 3 goals outlined, you're then going to define the strategies that you need to deploy in order to achieve that goal. Some of these strategies might be daily things you need to do every single day, more like a habit. They might be weekly actions you need to take, or they could be one-time things that you need to do just to get the project or the progress moving towards the goal you want to achieve. From there, once you have that bigger picture of your goals and the strategies you need to deploy to achieve it, you then start looking at your weeks, and then you do your weekly planning and scoring. What I really love about this is at the beginning of the week, you sort of say, okay, here are the mission critical strategies I need to achieve this week to get me closer to my goal. But then you also at the end of the week look back and say, okay, did I get those key strategies accomplished that week? And you score yourself. So you basically say, did I get 80% done? Did I get 90%? Did I get 10%? And then you can start seeing like, where are you falling off and why? And I think that scoring and reflection component is really valuable because you're not supposed to, get down on yourself about not getting 100%. It's more about understanding like, where are you finding friction? Where are you not making time for some of those key strategies that are super important? What could you move away from your to-do list and your calendar to make more space and time for these strategies? So it just gives you an opportunity to ask some really good questions about how you're achieving those goals. And then at the end of your 12 weeks, you have a week rest, basically, where you kind of regroup. You're not working on any goals. You might be planning for your next 12 week. And of course, you're going to review the previous 12 weeks or your previous year in a way and say, okay, where did I have some missteps? Where did I feel really great about what I accomplished? And just do a nice reflection on that 12-week year. And you can take those lessons and learnings into the next one for your next 12-week sprint. And then from there, you just rinse and repeat this process over and over and over. Ideally, to make it nice and neat, fits within the normal calendar, you would start your first 12-week year on the first full week of January, but you can really start this process anytime. So for instance, I'm starting this process on March 5th, 2023. Just do it when it makes sense for you. And you don't have to wait for these typical milestone periods in life to get started on what you want to achieve. You can start it right now. You don't even have to start on a Monday if you don't want to, or a Sunday. Just start whenever you want to and just plan it out for the next 12 weeks and just get going. Some of the things I love about doing this process for me that are just much more motivating than doing your typical annual goal setting is that I just feel like it makes my goals feel a little bit more urgent and a little bit more within reach. Like I can see it at the end of the tunnel, like this is possible for me. Whereas when I've done big annual goal setting in the past, I could get motivated for a while, but it just felt like, God, the end result is so far away. So breaking down my goals into these 12-week years makes me feel a lot more motivated to keep going and making progress towards my bigger vision. Like I said before, the first half of the book really focuses on the mindset around goal setting. One of the elements that they break down in several places of the book, they talk about these 4 key components of the 12-week year that are critical to making you successful to achieving the goals that you set for yourself during the 12-week year. And the first is that strong desire. The only way you're going to actually achieve your goals is that they mean something to you. And that's why the visioning part of this process is super important. You need to make sure that the thing you're trying to achieve is actually motivating to you, because obviously over the next 12 weeks and every 12 weeks in the future, you're going to hit roadblocks. They're either mental roadblocks of your own making, or they're external roadblocks of your time and your life and other commitments and things. And you have to decide, like, is this critical and important to me, or is it something that you easily push to the bottom of your to-do list or push out into the future? So that strong desire and vision is really important in making sure that this 12-week year process will work for you. The next are those keystone actions. Like I talked about the strategies, and I call these key drivers in business. I have a whole video talking about the 4 key drivers of an online business. It's a very similar idea where you have to be able to figure out what are the keystone actions I would need to take on a daily, weekly basis, for instance, in order to achieve my goals. So let's say you want to hit a sales number and you have to do a lot of cold calling or cold outreach to do that. Well, if you know that if you reach out to 10 people a week, you'll get at least 2 responses that could potentially turn into a deal, then your keystone action is 10 outbound outreach pieces every single week, whether it's call, email, DM, what have you. So that that is your keystone action. If you do not do that, you will fall behind in your cycle. So it's really important for you to figure out those keystone actions. Maybe if you're trying to get healthier, maybe you're like, I want to try out intermittent fasting. And so you know that you want to intermittent fast 5 days a week. And so that is a keystone action for your particular goal. The next is counting the costs. And I really like this because I'm not a negative person. I'm very positive, but I'm also very much a realist. And I like to think about the worst case scenario to help motivate me. What are the costs of me not taking action? And that is my worst case scenario. So instead of thinking like, well, what if I fail? Well, think about what you would be missing out on. What would be the downside if you didn't take action, implement the 12-week year, and kept procrastinating and putting off your goals into the future. So think about the cost, the opportunity costs of not taking action. And then once you know your desires, this vision, you understand the cost of not taking action, you know what those actions are, those keystone actions. And now thinking about how you are going to make decisions and take action based on your commitments you've made to yourself, as opposed to the in the moment desire. Instead of sort of like, I don't feel like it. I think Mel Robbins talks about this all the time, about how you're never going to feel like it. Like, motivation is a myth, but the commitments that you have made to yourself about what you want to achieve and the things you need to do to achieve them, those are your commitments. And so in any given moment, if you're thinking, I don't really want to go to the gym today, I don't feel like it, you'll be like, no, the commitment I made is I'm going to the gym at least 3 times a week. And this means I need to do this today. Or the commitment I made is I'm going to make those 10 calls every single week, no matter what. So thinking more about taking action from your commitment to yourself versus your desire. I really encourage you to pick up the book. I will leave a link to it on Amazon below to this. So now that I've explained how the system basically works, and it's not rocket science, as you probably noticed, you're like, that's not like revolutionary in a way. It is a very simple but very powerful system to follow. So I want to take you behind the scenes into my planning system and show you exactly how I'm going to achieve my goals in the next 12 weeks. I have actually created a template version of this for you. So if you like to use Asana, you'll be able to get access to that in the link down in the description. So let's dive in. So here we are inside my Asana. I've created a project called 12-Week Year, March through May 2023. This is obviously the list view, and what I love about Asana is you can see it like this. You can also see it as a board view. So if you like the Kanban board version of this, it's kind of like Trello if you've used that in the past. And then you can also have a calendar view. So if you just want to see anything that's already actioned out on your calendar, you can see it that way as well. So we're just going to go back to the list view, and I'm just going to make all those small. So as you can see, I've broken it down into the primary sections of the 12-week year planning process. So first you have your vision. So in here, I created basically a task that's your aspirational vision, your 3-year vision, and of course the 1-year vision that I added on. And in here, you can draft it out into the description and actually sit down and write it out. If you prefer to write it out in a journal, that's totally fine too. Maybe take a photo of it and add it here inside of Asana, so you have it all in one place. So then we have our goals. This is the section where I've outlined my 3 most important goals that I'm focusing on the next 12 weeks. I'm not going to be doing anything else. Obviously, I have like random sort of daily tasks, but I'm not really trying to achieve anything else. I'm not trying to grow an Instagram. I'm not trying to train for a half marathon. These are the 3 most critical things I'm focused on over the next 12 weeks, in addition to my other work that I do and just living my life. So these are the most critical things. The first one is to gain 50 Kajabi affiliate referrals. As you all might know, you may have found my channel through this, as I am a super fan of the Kajabi platform. It's an all-in-one online business solution. I have lots of videos coming out about it very soon. I have actually been working consulting on the side, helping people figure out how to get Kajabi up and running in their business, and done some done-for-you services, getting people fully up and running. And I actually really love it. And I just want to spread the gospel about Kajabi. And because I'm already doing that, I want to capitalize on my ability to talk about Kajabi and to teach about Kajabi. And so I want to become a great affiliate for Kajabi and actually get a little credit for all of the training and perspective that I'm giving about my experience being on the platform since 2020 and moving all of my online businesses to Kajabi. It's like the number 1 goal. Even if I don't even focus on the other 2 goals, this is the primary goal for the next 12 weeks. And so within each of these goals in Asana, I can have subtasks for each one. And so I can expand this, and each of these subtasks represents a key strategy or a keystone action. The first one is I'm going to publish 48 videos about Kajabi over on YouTube. And that means I'm going to do about 4 a week. And that's just because I want to get a lot more content that can be discovered by people searching about Kajabi on my platform so that they'll find me and want to work with me, and of course use my Kajabi affiliate link. And so that's my goal. The number one goal is to get those 48 videos out into the world. That would be a recurring weekly action. I need to brainstorm Kajabi videos that I want to release. I need to schedule out recording and editing time each week to make sure that I'm delivering on those videos. This is another one-off strategy. I need to update my Kajabi referral bonus and page. It's kind of outdated. I need to make it look more like the brand I'm working on for my new website for brookeroberts.co. I also need to add Kajabi coaching to my Calendly process so that when people sign up through my affiliate link, they can sign up for a Kajabi coaching session with me, which, by the way, if you want to sign up for Kajabi, use my link down below, brookeroberts.co/Kajabi, and you do get a 30-day free trial as well as several bonuses from me, including 45 minutes one-on-one on Zoom where we can break down your business idea or your current business and see how the Kajabi platform could be leveraged to help you get your time back, make more money, etc. So if you're interested in that, the link is down below. So beyond the coaching sessions, I also want to create a course about Kajabi that's free for people wanting to learn more and sort of dive deeper into the Kajabi platform. It's going to be called Scale with Kajabi, so I need to build that out. I need to create a Kajabi commercial for all of my podcasts. So I want to, at the top of all of my podcast episodes, I'm going to insert a little 30-second commercial about Kajabi, just for anybody listening to the archives. They can go back and say, hey, maybe I should check out Kajabi. And then I'm going to create some other components around my brand so that the Kajabi element is kind of front and center. So those are my keystone actions or my strategies for how I'm going to achieve that 50 Kajabi affiliate referrals by the end of my 12 weeks. And so the deadline for this goal is May 27th. That's exactly 12 weeks from today. I will be able to know, did I achieve it or not, because I will either have the 50 referrals or I won't. I currently have about, I think 10. So I'm hoping that the 50 is doable, but we'll see. I can help a girl out and use my Kajabi affiliate link. All right. My second goal is I want to complete the 75 hard challenge. If you've never heard about this challenge before, again, I'll have an episode about it very soon, but essentially it includes these components that I've listed here. And these are the keystone actions or the strategies to completing the 75 hard. It's a 75-day challenge. It includes no alcohol or quote unquote cheat meals, which relates to the next one, which is following a diet. For me, I'm just going to make sure I keep my calories within a deficit. I'm going to do a 45-minute workout. I already do daily yoga, and so this should be pretty easy as well. And then adding on a 45-minute outside workout. And for me, that's just going to be a daily walk out in the fresh air. And I think that should be pretty doable, except when it's freezing cold here in Kansas City, which it's supposed to be over the next few weeks. But I'm gonna see if I can do it. And then I'm also gonna be drinking a gallon of water every day, which I actually think is gonna be kind of challenging because I'm not great about drinking my water. You also then read 10 pages of a book every single day. It has to be a nonfiction book. And then you have to take a progress pic that you don't have to share it with the world. It's just for yourself. So those are the keystone strategies or keystone actions for completing the 75 hard. The deadline for this will be May 19th, assuming I don't have to start over. So one of the elements of this as well is that if you miss a day in any one of these actions, you have to start over from the beginning. I don't know how I feel about that. For me, I'm like, if I get 90% of it, I'm probably just going to keep going and not really worry about that. But the goal is 100%, so we will see. I don't have a lot of love for Andy Frisella, who's the creator of the 75 Hard Challenge, but I do believe everybody in the world might have something that you can learn from them, whether you agree with everything that they do or not. I still think there's something I can learn from him through this challenge. One of the other things I've already started that I was already experimenting with is trying on sobriety for a while and giving up alcohol for 3 months. And I'd already made this decision before the 75 hard, but because 75 hard includes not drinking alcohol, I thought, well, maybe this will be a nice time to try out this challenge. If that's goal number 2. And then goal number 3 is to build out the Global Pro Institute funnel. For those of you who don't know, I have another business, Inside Study Abroad, and it's kind of gone dormant for about a year now because I've been hosting a podcast for another company in my industry. Obviously, I'm director of marketing for another company. I haven't had the capacity to really think about it or focus on it, but I've had a lot of questions about it coming in over the course of the last few months as the industry has come back and people are looking for jobs and trying to up-level their careers. So I'm going to get that funnel back up and running. It needs to be updated. I'm not actually going to even start working on this particular goal until April. I want to get into a good groove around my Kajabi goal before I dive into this because it is an important goal, but it's not the most important. And so I think I can spend about 8 weeks to get that done. And so I'm going to wait to start on that. So those are my 3 goals with the specific strategies that I'm going to deploy to make that happen. So now that you know the strategies you need to use to get to your goals, then we need to break it down into a weekly plan. And that's where these next sections come into play. This looks a little overwhelming. It looks like there's a lot to do, but I did some stuff with that 75 hard thing that makes it look much busier. One of the things I want to do every single week is obviously do a weekly planning. And so I added this in here for week 1, and I made it a recurring event inside of Asana. So for me, it's going to be on Sundays, and I just clicked this set to repeat button. Just click it again, and then I can say weekly, monthly, yearly, daily, periodically, etc. But obviously I want it to be weekly. And when I completed this weekly planning, which I technically have, once it refreshes, it'll actually add it again, and it'll be for next week. And so then from there, I can drop it down to week 2. Anytime I have a recurring task that I know I want to do on a weekly basis, I set it up as a recurring event. So again, publish and schedule 4 videos. That's a recurring every week task that's likely going to happen on Sundays. Then I have it there. So once I click it off, it'll add it again and I can push it to the next week. And so I don't have to really worry about adding in new tasks all the time. The system will do it automatically for me. Obviously, I need to edit the videos. That is also a recurring task. Update the podcast art for the new name, The Brooke Roberts Show. I did that already, and hopefully you're seeing it. If you're listening to the podcast, you're seeing my new art. It's nothing special, but at least it's updated. I put into here to brainstorm and prep episodes for the next week. That's also a weekly recurring task. Record videos. That's a weekly recurring task. And so another sort of single task or one-time task is going to be to update my Kajabi referral page, like I mentioned before. So that's here for this week. And I also have to create a coming soon page because I'm completely redesigning brookeroberts.co. More to come about that soon, but I need to put that up this week as well. Then where you see all of these icons, it's a rock. I don't know if you can tell it's a rock, but I thought 75 hard, so rock. Those are all of the daily tasks related to the 75 hard challenge. And again, those are also repeated. So I have them selected to repeat daily, as you can see right here. Anytime I check something off, like for instance, I already did my outside walk today, it added it in for tomorrow. I don't have to worry about keeping track of did I do this one task or not for 75 hard. I can always log into my Asana, which is also an app on my phone, and I can just click it off for that day and then go to the next day and it'll be populated. I really love using a system like this because there is some automation to it, so I don't have to think about it as hard, but it does allow me to check things off, because if you're anything like me and you get a little dopamine hit every time you can check something off your list, it just feels really good. And then at the end, a weekly recurring task is to weekly review, look at the week, what went well, what didn't go well, and give myself a score for that week. Then once I do my weekly planning, that's when I'll add either those one-off tasks or it'll be auto-populated. I like to use automation to make it as easy for myself as possible, but that weekly planning allows me to say, oh, there's this other one-off thing I need to do to get me closer to my goal. I have it sections for week 2, week 3, week 4. I'll build that out for all of the weeks for the 12-week year. And like I mentioned before, I can see it in a board view. So if it's easier for you to see things in in more like a column of everything you need to do in a particular week. That's available for you as well. Or you can see it in your calendar view so you can see what's coming on any given day or week, and the list view. So that is how I'm using Asana to manage my 12-week year. I hope this has been helpful in giving you an understanding of what the 12-week year is, how it works, and how you can apply it to your own goals and life right now. If you want to join me on this 12-week year, it's not too late to get started today. Again, I'll have a link to the Asana template down below if you want to check it out. If you want to get started with Kajabi, like I said, brookeroberts.co/Kajabi, you can find out about all the bonuses, get that 30-day trial, and dive into it. And starting tomorrow, I'm going to be releasing a bunch of videos, training videos on how to leverage the Kajabi platform to launch your online business and start making some independent income in the next year. Until next time, remember that every day you postpone a dream, you weaken it a little. So get out there and make some magic happen.